this video, we're going to show you how to install ClearVU on a Subaru Outback. Some Subaru Outbacks do come standard with a camera washer on the back camera. OEM camera washer system does work quite a bit differently than ours. It sort of just dribbles the fluid over the top of the lens. Our system, once it's installed, is a more powerful jet that sprays up from the bottom. So in this video, we'll show the differences of that and also how to install our system, whether you have this OEM system or not. So the first step is going to be to remove all these plastic panels on the bottom of the lift gate. To do that, use plastic pry tools. We have the supply for the wiper fluid, and then this is the rear windshield, and this is for the camera. So this is going to be what you use to supply the ClearVU sprayer. If this is not here, you're going to use a T-fitting and T into the OEM line that just goes to the rear windshield. Okay, so now that you have pried off this plastic cover, removed the two 10mm bolts or Phillips head screws, also two of these black Phillips head clips, plastic clips that are here and here. So if you have all those removed, this should now come off, nothing but tabs holding it on. There you go. So no wires or anything. Just set this aside for now. And now we can see where the OEM wiper fluid hose runs all the way down. If your vehicle does not have one of these, that is where you're going to need to put in. So once again, T-fitting in the OEM wiper fluid line, cut it, install the T-fitting, run the hose down here, zip tie it so that it's out of the way, and make sure it's not in the way of any of the plastic clip. It's going to run all the way to the camera housing. In order to get access to the camera housing, or behind it, we actually need to remove this whole plastic panel. So now that you've removed, there is 6 8mm nuts holding that panel on. Once you've removed those, you can pop it off. There's going to be these white plastic retaining clips holding it in still. They do require quite a lot of force to remove, and you want to keep the panel pried up out of the way after you remove it, because otherwise when you go to remove the next one, it's going to pull back in and clip back in. So it requires either extra hands or as many of these plastic pry tools as you can get. Before you remove that panel and pull it away from those white plastic clips, you're going to have to remove these two covers. So this is the right side, this here is the left side. There's 3 blue plastic clips holding it on there, and pull it off like that. From there, there's going to be 2 more 8mm nuts on either side and another 8mm bolt right here. Really just pulling up on it. You have to use some force and be sort of swift about it. The plastic part actually goes under this black part, so it has to sort of slip out that way. Okay, there we go. So now it's removed, but you can't pull it away just yet. There's still a bunch of wires connecting it. It actually looks like you have to disconnect these wires inside. So I'm just going to set this back here, this brown electrical connection, disconnect this, and then push the grommet out. Now we can take this whole thing off, and these wires will come with it. So here you can see the OEM camera washing system. I mean, it's literally just like a little tray that sort of guides the fluid to flow down it. So there's really there's no pressure behind that. It's just gonna kind of dribble down there like that. So you'll see in comparison to our system, our sprayer, it's It's a little more powerful. So I'm actually gonna disconnect the camera completely. So there's a gray electrical connection right next to the camera. Disconnect that, and then there's these two plastic tabs. Just pinch those, and the camera should pop right out. Okay. Be mindful of the orientation. So we're gonna attach the sprayer to the bottom. The next thing you're gonna do is prep the surface for attaching the spray nozzle. So we have some sandpaper here. There should be some in your kit. You're going to scuff the bottom surface. Make sure you get the bottom. The camera's angled downward, so make sure you get the bottom surface of the camera. We're gonna scuff it this way and then this way. Okay. Next, we're gonna do the same thing with the sprayer. So take your spray nozzle and scuff it in one direction and then the other perpendicular direction. You've done that. Take your alcohol prep pad and wipe down the surface you just scuffed on the sprayer, as well as the camera housing. While we let that dry completely, we're going to start mixing up the epoxy. A 1-to-1 ratio, and you want to mix it perfectly. So in order to do that, even though it's way too much, it's way more than you need, the entire contents before mixing it up. Sure it is mixed thoroughly, and then we're just going to take a small amount on a spray nozzle. Be very careful not to get any of the epoxy where the orifice is, where the fluid comes out. Place it on camera housing. Step is going to be to use the drill template to drill the hole for the hose. So to do this, first of all, I like to put blue tape on here just because it makes it easier to see where the mark goes. Next step, I'm going to go ahead and put that right there. To drill through this thin plastic, and the final hole size is 5/16. So without further ado, let's drill the hole. In order to get the hose from the outside of the vehicle in, we're going to have to cut an opening in this grommet for the hose to fit through. Fold it over and make a little cut. Start small and increase the size as you need to, and be very careful obviously not to cut the wires. Tip is to use glass cleaner when sliding this rubber hose through the rubber grommet, because it will want to stick. So now we can push this through like that, and you're going to want to leave enough right here, and make sure you zip tie this hose out of the way, enough to go out of the hole you just drilled with the drill template. I'm actually going to increase that hole size to 3/8, and now this will fit out here just like that. And leave yourself a good 3 or 4 inches right here coming out of the car. So now we have this tucked in here and zip tied in a couple spots and going through the grommet. We can put this back on the vehicle. Now that the epoxy is set for the spray nozzle, we can put the camera back on the vehicle. Plug it in, and we can take that large plastic panel and put that back on. So first you're going to want to fish the hose in, as well as that brown electrical connection. Line everything up. Make sure these edges are under the black part. Just push all those plastic clips back in. So the next step is going to be to disconnect the OEM camera washer and hook up the ClearVU camera washer with a check valve. And make sure the check valve, there's an arrow on it. That arrow has to point in the direction of fluid flow. And cut any excess hose you have and hook up the new washer system. Okay, so the very last step, after you've waited several hours for the epoxy to fully cure, is going to be to hook up the wiper fluid hose to the sprayer. And you can cut off as much excess as you need, but just do whatever you can to make sure there's not excess strain on the sprayer. So you want it to be a nice, gentle curve, and when you hook up the hose, make sure you hold the sprayer and you don't just push on it. Okay, so there you go. Now it's all done. We'll see how different this looks from the OEM